Is actually it's a Jaws company. They started 7 years back. Um, Jaws was the founder of the Safely You, and they are doing tremendous job. They have been everywhere actually in the country. Most of the facilities they are doing the services. They are in Florida, Brookdale. It's the biggest senior living community, as you all know, and they are in Santa Clara, San Jose. I mean, they are everywhere. Most of the states they're in, they're doing tremendous job. Their product is mainly to detecting the anomalies, mainly for falls. It's a camera product, which would be monitoring continuously the the senior elderly people in the house, and then whenever there is a fall happens, and then immediately it detects the fall, it starts recording the stream for 40 seconds of time, and then sends this video to the caregiver immediately. It's a pretty good idea. They did it. Um, yeah, we Jaws, they're a big company now. It's not a small company anymore. They're a really big
Yeah.
company. Yeah, yeah. So, but the passion that is, I started my company by looking at Jaws, passion. Literally, to solve something, you have to get in, jump in, and then start doing. Don't look at, and somebody will come and help. You have to jump in and then start doing. He started George. I mean, I'm speaking for somebody who is kind of my competitor, but yeah, I'm really, I love that George, the way he
So
started.
what's his name? I don't really quite understand his name. Jaws?
George,
George.
George. Yeah, George.
Okay. George who?
Fantastic.
George Max, I think. I don't remember his last name, but I can send the last name.
Great. Yeah. When I post out this conversation, I'll tag each of you, and each of you can put into the comments, more information that would be helpful to people. This is near and dear to my heart. When I was in my 50s, I was hired as an in-home caregiver. I did it freelance sometimes and sometimes under the umbrella of a company. And I went into almost 100 different homes during those years. And the families became accustomed to me and would turn to me for advice and resources. And is there anything that's better than this? Or how can we help? What can be done about a safety issue? That's huge. Oh my goodness, safety. You want your family. What does your family say to you? You're going to travel, and someone who cares about you, your friend, your neighbor, your partner, your spouse, whoever it is that just feels, as they were just like, now be safe and make sure that you call me when you get there. So safety is huge. I didn't have the answers. I didn't have the resources. I knew what was happening just in the other homes. And it was my husband, who also produces this show, makes sure that we all can meet each other, who said, wow, what you're looking for and what you're hoping to package up for people now that I wished I had then could go a lot farther than a seminar in a senior center. So that's how I ended up finding what I really enjoy now. It will be a bumper sticker on my car someday that says, I'd rather be on LinkedIn, or my other car is a LinkedIn.
I like it. I'm a therapist. I've been one for 40 years. In the last several years, I've been seeing mostly older people. And I used to go in to people's homes. I don't anymore. However, I went in, for instance, into a lot of assisted living programs. Ravi, I have to tell, anything that helps people stay at home in the community and not be locked away into some isolated place. And I don't care how many people they have in them, they're isolated. But one thing that I got from this, I got tons of things, and I could talk for 6 hours by myself, but is that the title assisted living is at best a misnomer. And let me give you one example. Well, first place, when you get assisted living, you get an apartment or a room, it varies, 3 meals a day, and once a week, somebody comes in and vacuums your rug. Now, if you call that assisted, that's okay. But if you want anything else, you have to pay for it. And one day, one of my clients, and this was a fairly good sized woman, she's in her living room. They had the little buzzers that if you need help, you can push the buzzer. Well, one was in the bathroom and the other was in the bedroom. Well, great if you're in bed or on the toilet. She was in her living room in a chair and she dropped something and she kind of slid down to pick it. Well, she fell onto the floor. She didn't hurt herself because she kind of slid. But it was 8:30 at night. Nobody was going to call and make sure she was okay. She wasn't near the button. She literally had to drag her body over to the door, reach up and get the door open and drag herself out into the hallway where she waited like 2 hours before anybody came by. And for that, they're paying like up towards like, anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 a month. So there is no assistance, and any assistance that you get, you have to pay extra for. And often by hiring someone like what you used to do, Christine, from the outside, who would come in, and so you kind of even have to do that yourself. So, anything that allows people to stay home, to be in, the home maybe that they've been in for many years with neighbors, I love. And that's exactly what the product that I'm hearing you describe does.
Yay. Natalie, you were saying something.
Yes, I just thought I would like to chime in too, to tell you a little bit about what Stack Care does. So I know Safely You, it's a tremendous product, but obviously it's a bit more involved because you have cameras involved, and that also you have to always think about privacy issues and things like that. But every one of these products has their own value in their own environment. And so what Stack Care does is we have, and I like to show my little prop, these very tiny motion sensors. They're literally just like the size of my thumb, little sensors that we detect, that we set up in the different key areas of activity of a person's home, bedroom, bathroom, favorite room, and kitchen. And with our AI and machine learning and data science, we're able to actually understand a person's typical behavior patterns and establish a baseline. And after a couple of days, we were able to really understand what a person's habits are. And anything out of the ordinary is where we send out the notification to an app for the families, and even, to professionals. We work with home care agencies, we work with communities, because all this, anything that happens behind that closed door, like that lady that you just described, our system would have detected that there was no motion, or that she was maybe in her bedroom or bathroom. And so, and it's not just motion. We detect so many things, even if they're not spending time in the kitchen and eating, or if they're exiting the home because we have contact sensor on the exit door, or if the house is too cold or too hot. I just recently had somebody in California who they had a cold front down in Pasadena, and her house reached 50 degrees, and our system sent out the alert. Or, so many different things that we can detect. So the nice thing about it is that it is, and the notifications come out to you. So it's a real passive system. Neither the senior needs to ever do anything, nothing to press or push or wear, nor the families. They can just wait for this alert to come to them. There's nothing they need to look at or listen to. So, that's kind of a big advantage of the system. So anyway, I gave my little grain of salt, but I do appreciate hearing about what everybody else does, and what your story, you're right, assisted living is.
I love it. I went to some research, and I went to a CCRC, which is Continuous Care Residential Center, where you pay anywheres from like, $300,000 to $900,000 just to get in the door, and then you have to pay more. But I went through the whole thing and asked her a few questions, some of which she gave me good answers, some of which she kind of skirted. But the last thing she said to me was, it's like kind of putting the guilt trip on if I wasn't already sold. It was like, this is the best thing you can do for your children. And see, if I had known about you two, I could have said, actually, the best thing I could do for my children is to get a camera and one of those little things. And then my children won't have to worry. So I'm really glad that you guys exist.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I see that Cindy Rogers is on. This gal wants everything good and everyone who's got a helpful concept to be promoted. And she was actually a guest just a few weeks ago. I appreciate that she said, "So good to join your event today. Thank you to me. and that she's at Accredited Home Healthcare Directory. So apparently that is the theme of today, though I do not tell people now you all have to come together and you all have to agree on one thing. It's just that's what we're really talking about today. I'm 63. If my kids said to me, you don't see it, but we do, and we really need you to consider being elsewhere, I would consider it. But at this moment, the way I feel, that I feel like I'm handling everything really well, that would be hard to just say, so you think that the only good place for me is at XYZ spot. Now I have these resources where I can say, what are you most concerned about? Well, we've noticed that you've lost 25 pounds in just the last few months, and you don't seem to be, going into the kitchen. You don't seem to be, it's like, well, I feel like I'm doing okay. And isn't it good that I'm losing weight? And it's like, well, we're concerned. And it's like, okay, so I have some resources. How about if we use these, if we use Safely You and we use Stack Care, and, how about if we give that a try? Because at this moment, the way I feel, I wouldn't want to feel, I guess the term would be shoehorned, like we're getting you out of there or we're getting you into that tight fit. So I'm just grateful. That's why I post these out, is to give everyone an opportunity to say, there are options. I just don't know about them, because generally people don't walk around in the street saying, hey, how are you doing? Oh, do you have any devices at home that tell your kids that you're being safe and that you're, maintaining your lifestyle? So, hey, Christine Mulholland, I am really happy to see you again. She's been so busy because 2023 is the year of the conferences and the trade shows, and she has yet another fantastic product. So, Christine, I can't wait until you're coming on to aspects of aging, but she's just been so busy. You know what that's like.
Yeah,
Hey,
Kristen,
Ravi, you and I are on the West Coast. You're in the San Francisco area?
That's correct, question.
That is such a hub. When I first started learning LinkedIn, I was like, there's a whole bunch of people that are creating and innovating and bringing up concepts about just aging, not even the problems of aging, but just, hey, we're doing it, folks. Is that why you ended up there, or did you grow up there?
That's correct, actually. No, I moved from Ann Arbor, Michigan to here, year of 2022, May, close to 1 year now. I moved for my startup in the elderly age tech. Um, so my story is quite different, actually. I grew up in India until my engineering. I finished my bachelor's in India, and then I got an offer with IBM ISL in US. I moved to here, and then I've been working as a consultant for IBM for many years. I got my green card, and then I started my company, to be honest with you. But I'm a Christian. I go to churches all the time. I never missed the church as in my lifetime, except the COVID time. So I've seen elderly people, actually. Every time I go to church, I've seen elderly people, and they're very nice. They're very humble. They always reach out to us and then asking, do you need anything? Do you need help? Do you need money sometimes, right? They're asking. They didn't know that we are earning good amount. We are in IT, and then we are getting good amount of money. But the way they are approaching is wonderful. So, but also, I used to usher at the church. I was cleaning the churches, audio video engineer, different roles I was playing at the churches.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
when I'm doing it, I have seen elderly people with different issues, like cuts, bruises, their skin issues. I have also seen the big bandages when they are coming to the churches. And when we are visiting their houses, I have seen the memory issues, memory loss issues.
Right.
The pastor was explaining everything, how why the memory loss, what they do, what's their lifestyle, and everything. I felt really bad. It was actually 8 years back. Um, we were doing more community services. That's when we decided we need to do something for elderly community. Because we always have the culture where I grown up. We always respect the elders, um,
Right.
and we always take care of it. Surprisingly, by grace of God, India, we didn't see this issue in India for elderly community. Memory losses are maybe 1% compared to here. Falls are literally like maybe less than 1%, I would say.
Mm.
The difference is the culture. They have three generational households. The kids are taking care of their parents somehow. Their their young, the grandchildren are around them all the time. They're not leaving them alone. At any point of time, if they're going out, they're making sure somebody is around them, somebody is taking care of them, somebody is cooking for them, somebody is taking care, taking to the bathrooms, bathing and feeding. It's all the things. My grandma she died at the age of 84, 85, if I remember correctly.
Mm.
There's always families who are around, my grandma. Um, so that is actually cultural differences we have seen. Well, of course, it has its own issues too. Having three generational households, it has its own other issues too. But it is helping the elderly community. Two things that we have seen. Physically, they may be a little weak, but mentally they are very strong. That
Yeah.
being said, they're always engaged with something. They're speaking to the people. The people are coming whenever relatives are visiting. People are visiting. Neighbors are coming to the houses. They say hi to them. They talk to them. They elderly people talks to them. So that's how they're mentally very strong. So that's when actually we thought. I think we we have to engage the elderly people with the tasks, different oriented of tasks, so that way they'll be happy. The their memory cells, neurons will be active for a long time, so they'll not die. That's when we came up with an idea of identifying the anomalies early stages, exactly like how Stack Care is doing, Natalie. Uh, so that's how we do it. We use cameras, but we detect the minute to the major anomalies in the personality, and then we compare against the memory loss symptoms. So that happens every day. End of the 24 hours of the track record, the data will be captured every second of activity, and then we compare against the memory loss symptoms, and then we generate report. If there is anything which is closer to the memory loss, we notify the caregiver immediately. Hey, this is what is happening. So we wanted to take our product towards the preventive care. So we are working with the CMU, a couple of research scholars, the scientists, to get this data. So that's what I wanted to help the elderly community, and they're beautiful people that I have seen in this country. I really, really wanted to help. So that's my story.
Have
So what,
you connected with Cherry and Jacob?
Katie and Jacob. No, Kristen, I don't.
You will. You will. He is a Christian and he also has a robot. So you two will really, really enjoy each other. Margot, was that you or was that Natalie that I heard a moment ago?
yes, I was just interested in hearing, the technology that Ravi describes. So I find that interesting to see how a camera can see memory loss. Like I just am intrigued by that, how that would actually work. Because, our system can detect changes of patterns, like activity patterns, whether somebody's agitated. We can see a tremendous amount of information, like on their activity patterns, whether they're, for instance, wandering at night or sundowning or, opening the refrigerator 100,000 times and things like that. So I'm interested in seeing how a camera can see the memory loss.
So, yeah. Okay. So basically, it detects the activities, every activity that they do, sitting, standing, walking, how long the activity has been doing in a day.
Mm-hmm.
The And the rest of the activities, like going out and coming in, and getting up from the bed and going to the bathrooms, how many times they're getting up from the bed in from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. time. So anything which is close to the anomalies, we record it immediately. Most importantly, the mood check is very important. Besides the activities are very important. Activities tells how they were living yesterday, how they can live today. Let's say, for example, they didn't sleep yesterday night well, which means there is a potential fall. Depends on their demographically they're fitting in. Let's say they're days of 90, and they didn't sleep well, which means there is a 90% more chances that they can fall. They have
Absolutely. That's what we say too, because we detect if they have had a bad night or not slept enough or, moved around a lot, gotten up a lot to go to the bathroom and things like that. That's how we also even detect these UTIs that are developing and things like that. But that's very interesting.
Checking the mood, actually, looking at the person and then see how long they have been thinking on a single task, or how many times in a day they're repeating the same thing, same behavior. Let's say, for example, uh, 10 minutes a person is continuously standing or sitting and thinking of something. We don't know what they're thinking, but we know that they're thinking, they're doing some activity there. So if that is repeating multiple times in a day, which means that is leading to something, kind of, could be depression, could be memory losses, could be
Mhm.
freezing thing, right? So that's how actually our camera is basically. It is, since it is a camera, it is a two-dimensional RGB camera we are using it. It gets as much as data. It sends it to the multi-layer AIML models, and each model has its own job. Something detects the poses, something detects the memory symptoms, the memory loss symptom, something detects the posture, and then some other layer detects the activities like sitting, standing, walking, running, bending, moving, sleeping. So
Yeah.
those.
I would like to piggyback onto Ravi what you started with, and this goes with what Christine was saying also. And this is something I've known. I've seen it with a lot of my clients, and then recently I found a book called the Breaking the Age Code with Becca Levy, PhD, and she did all the research to prove my ideas. But for to go on with Robbie, she did all of this research and talking about both Japan and India, just what you had said, Robbie, about how different it is there. And one of the things that she points out, and I see this in my practice, is how our attitudes towards aging can make people age worse. And I will tell you, I know, you gave the story about if your children, whatever. I know both from my practice, and I'm going to tell you a short story about my brother, but I know that companies, especially assisted living places and places like that, are training children to look for things in their parents. And I'm going to tell you, with almost any of us, if we're looking for something, we'll find it. And I'm not talking about what you two are doing, because that's very different, but I'm talking about something else. And I'm going to give the example of my brother. Last fall, his older daughter, well, she died very suddenly. It was an asymptomatic cancer. So it seemed she had it a long time, but it seemed very sudden because she went like in a few days of diagnosis. But so I'm talking to my niece on the phone, and she's worried about my brother because he's starting to forget things. And she gave me a couple of descriptions, and I'm like, Tashina, I'm like, I have known your father for 75 years, and I'm here to tell you that what you just described, I mean, I love the man dearly, but he's been driving me crazy for 75 years, because what you just described, he was doing at 14, at 21, at 42. But all of a sudden, now that he's 83, everybody's worried because it must mean that he's getting dementia. I think, frankly, he has ADD, that, he was born before World War II. So, nobody ever looked at him for it, but I think that's what it is. I mean, I'm not going to go into that. But the point is that what happens is, and there definitely are, and this is why you two are so important, there definitely are things that can happen. But for 90% of us, they're not going to happen. But when we get to a certain age, and we all do this, it's like, oh my God, I forgot that person's name. Well, you know what? I've been forgetting names my whole life. And there are some things. I also say, when I was 45, I had a day job and a nighttime private practice. I mean, I would see, 30 people a week. I did not have a calendar. I could just keep it in somebody call me up and I'd say, oh yeah, I didn't even have to look. I could tell them when I had an opening. Now I not only have to have a calendar, I have to look at it 3 times a day. That does not mean I have dementia. But when we start to get older, too many people start to say, oh my God, that must mean I have dementia. And by doing that, and Becca Levy points this out so well, and again, with using India as one of the examples of how to do it. Now, is that we can make it happen. We can worry ourselves and anxiety ourselves into giving ourselves something so that then we do need the help when we don't have it. For the people who actually need it, I love you guys' products. However, if we look for things, we're very likely to find things that really aren't there.
Susie Singer Carter went through that. She created the movie My Mom and the Girl. My Mom and the Girl. I might be saying it right. And it was about her own mother's journey. Her mother did pass away this last year, but she was able to rope in, if anyone ever watched Mary Tyler Moore's show, Rhoda, her friend Rhoda, who's, oh, help me. See?
Valerie
Harper. Thank you. If you give me the beginning, I can finish it. Hey, it's about relationships. So she pulled her in to play the part of her mother. Susie Singer Carter played herself. Wow. And she would post out, oh my goodness, I think I'm getting dementia, because she was so focused on caring for her mother and creating this short film that she's, oh my goodness, I think it's happening to me too. I have experienced that, because what am I doing? I'm talking with people, I'm looking at things, I'm hearing podcasts, and I think, oh my goodness, is that happening to me too? And there is a fear factor. So it can be self-diagnosis. It can be the kids looking up and going, oh my goodness, you're exhibiting these things and I'm noticing it more. Does that mean that there's something physiological happening, and is it tumbling downward? I don't want to not notice it. And I'm in between. I still have my mom at 91 years old. Then here I am. Then here I have a daughter and son-in-law who are already talking about, when we move you two in with us so we can take care of you. And so there is that fear of, oh my goodness, how much of a burden am I going to be? Or, when do I start, as a kid being, saying, now we need to talk about this. And I'm just going to have to say, it's up to me. I need to open the door to other people and say, go ahead and be honest with me. And that's what I saw with one of my clients was, tell me. I have 4 kids who all care about me and their spouses, but tell me if you're noticing something. They opened the door for me. And when I walked in and 2 things were on, the water and the toaster oven, and I entered because I was able to at a particular time of the morning, I let that person know. And when the next incident happened, they made the choice of, now I need to make sure that I always have somebody around more often. I only came once a week. So they flipped on that. They were already open to it. It was to me, a great part of being a person, being professional about it, being just letting people know, hey, I know that it's a little harder for me to notice things because there's other factors going on. I'm not hearing the water. I had my glasses off already for bed. I didn't notice that I had turned it too far. But that doesn't mean that we haven't, that can happen at any age. You can forget that something's going on. You can leave and go, I left something running. So it's a balancing act.
But that's why we also really like to work with professionals, like with home care agencies, for instance, because they work with their clients. And there's different ways of working with us, either just using Stack Care as a standalone solution for those people that are not ready for home care, or, don't want to maybe pay for it. But the benefit for the agency or even for the families is that we provide this data, which can really show information, which can be helpful in saying we are detecting things, like sundowning is starting to develop, or the person is exiting the home frequently, or even, more on a health level, like when I heard that more than 30% of the people that go to the hospital arrive there with malnutrition. So that might be not the primary cause of them going to the hospital, but obviously them not eating well is what will have caused the issue. And that's why I also say, for families anyway, or even for the older adult, is to have these preventable issues so that they can avoid going to the hospital. Because I was very interested to hear the other day that over 30% of people that are over 70 and over 50% of people over 80, when they go to the hospital, they end up coming out more dependent, more frail out of the hospital, not because of the hospital visit, not because of what they initially took them to the hospital. So that might have been a fall or something. But while they're in hospital, they're kept still in bed. They have all the lights, and they actually come out there needing more care. And so my idea is keep people out of the hospital with preventable issues. And that's what we can do. We can detect if somebody falls. If you find them quickly, it's like, you can help them and then they're fine. Only 12% of those people that have an issue that get found within an hour will really have a bigger issue. But if you don't find them, every hour will add to the risk that they will have big complications. And so keeping them out of the hospital with a system that can detect even UTIs. I had this lady the other day, all of a sudden you could see the spikes in her bathroom visits on our charts. She always uses between 3 and 6 times. All of a sudden it was 17 times. I called her. I said, listen, you might want to check in on that. She did, got antibiotics from her doctor, and 2 days later she was fine. But that could actually end up taking her to the hospital, even with sepsis and things like that. So, it's always that early prevention, early intervention. And I think, Ravi, that's a little bit what your system does too, that it helps detect these things early on, and whatever the means are, whether it's people or cameras or, sensor system, or that's the benefit. And just one point I kind of want to address, and then I'll stop talking, because what I find interesting is that I see all these benefits with all these different systems for people. And one of the biggest difficulties I find is actually convincing that generation, that post-World War II generation, that this is good for them. And they're very reluctant to have any kind of invasion of their privacy, when actually that is what's going to keep them independent for longer. Ravi, I don't know what your experience is with, a system which is camera-based, which makes it even harder, I think, sometimes to talk to people about it, unless obviously they have advanced memory care issues.
It is actually. I would like to add one thing actually, when it comes to the dementia. Everyone, our research is telling that everyone has a dementia, little or more. Everyone have a dementia, they keeps forgetting something. Like names is a frequent thing. Kids are actually, they have more dementia than the older people. The kids, 2 years, 3 years, school going kids, they have more dementia. Yeah, we wouldn't call it as dementia, we call it as age. They're still, young, very young, they don't remember their kids. We use that word more often. But for older people, we attach this name called dementia. So that being said, dementia is across all the demographically, everyone has this problem. But
what it is there really isn't something called dementia. We use that word like there is something. What it is, and I always now, when I say dementia, I put symptoms behind it. And that's what you're talking about, is that everybody from, little kids on up have some dementia symptoms, and it can be lots of stuff. UTIs in older people, by the way, often, and doctors are getting better, but they used to mistake that for dementia, which often meant that the UTI didn't get treated because they think it's dementia. But yes, Ravi, if you say dementia symptoms, everybody's got some dementia symptoms. So, but when you get older, then we start saying it's this and it's because you're old, and then we all get hysterical and people get worse. And no, I love the way you said it, though. I'm going to have to remember that, Robbie, and use it again.
Wow. I want to make sure that I do not ignore Steve Berger. I look forward to the future when he will be where we are right now on the screen, and he has aided. Are any of you familiar with aided?
No.
Doesn't ring a bell. So this is great that we're doing this, because now you know. Now there's something else to, and he says we're focused on devices to keep seniors safe in their, to keep seniors safe in their home. And oops, I just, we just got another comment. So there we go. Keep seniors safe in their home and have families able to access them also. Everyone's been working on these things, some of them for 20 years, some for 7, I think that Robbie was saying. And I didn't know basically that any of them existed when I was in my 50s. I, just came, I was hired on my front lawn. I always say that because it's true, because a person said, I've seen you with our neighbors and I'm so shorthanded at work. And this is what I do. I train them and they go, and I'm just going, I don't even know what caregiving is. It seems that most of my relatives either were put in a place because they were getting to the point where no one could handle them, or they simply passed away suddenly, heart attacks, etc. So, and hello to Helen Murphy again too, and UTI's big deal. I did cause upset one time because this person was so different than the next time I saw them. And I was not able to fix things because I'm such a fixer. And when they were in pain, etc., there were other things going on. I wasn't able to help with mobility. I dialed 911 and they were not thrilled about that, but it was UTI that was happening. It wasn't that they had had a stroke. There was no way for me to diagnose that. It needed to be addressed. And the family, they were fine with it. It was like, yay, you were on the scene. You assessed 4 different things going on that was totally different. And you know what? Now we have the right information. But it was an invasion. I made the choice. I didn't hand the phone over to this person. But I would say most of it was the pain that they were experiencing. And boom, it was simple to deal with when it was correctly diagnosed.
They might not even know, and they're not going to tell you that they're using the bathroom excessively. They might be ashamed, they might be embarrassed, they might forget if they have, cognitive decline. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons why, you cannot detect a UTI with our system. We just see what are the bathroom visits and is there a change, because that's what we monitor. We don't monitor what somebody does all the time. We monitor the changes in activity patterns. So anybody who all of a sudden has like going from 6 visits to 17, that's a change, where we can say there's a difference.
Christine, I would like to add also that in that particular situation, the person was in pain. And I would guess, and this is what makes it not ageist, I would guess that if that person were 45 and you were there and they didn't, you would have still called 911. You weren't basing it on, oh, it's an old person, I have to take care of them. You were with someone who was in pain and you knew that it needed to be checked out. So again, and that I guess goes with what Ravi was saying. It's like, you don't want to look at somebody. It's because of the color of their hair. You want to look at, it's because they keep going to the bathroom a lot. I mean, I know young people are not going to get Natalie or Ravi's system in their house. However, to have it not be at any age, if somebody's in pain and you're there, you're going to call 911.
It could be appendicitis. You don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't that you were taking over the life of this old person. You were with a human being who was in pain and you called 911.
Yeah. And hello to Helen Murphy and to Mary Beth Flynn. And she has, I would say, the other end of the pendulum that you can get to the point where um, you are perceived as, well, you just seem to sit there and you're just gathering dust and you're not complaining, so I guess this is it for the foreseeable future. And she says, oh no, put a paintbrush in their hand with artfully aging, and it comes with training. She was also one of my guests, just in one of the most colorful, fun times that we had on the screen, because we also had some Legos and Duplos going, and a guy that calls himself the guy in the blue shirt. And it was quite the scene. And so she's just chiming in too today. And I just thank all these people who take a moment to listen and to give encouragement. I call this unscripted and supportive. And they're so far, even when I gather a group for a purpose, like they're all getting ready to go to a conference, or they've just come back from being conference leaders and they're all on the screen together, we end up talking about something that nobody knew about that other person, and they help solve each other's problems. I'm so grateful for your willingness to come on and say what you're saying. So thank you ahead of time. We're getting closer to the end of our time, and it may be that one of you needed to move on and get ready for your next thing. So I'm just going to say, let's start around Robin of saying, how would you like for people to get a hold of you, if you would like for people to get a hold of you? And go ahead and finish off your thoughts for this time. And I hear a little doggy going, yip, yip. So somebody,
Oh, sorry.
I love it.
all
The
that.
cat has been on my desk twice, and usually the tail goes right across.
shoulder.
Right?
I was trying to avoid her being on my shoulder. I see your cat. I should have let her do it, but
They could have been friends. Margot, let's start with you. Do you want anyone to get in contact with you?
well, yes, I would like that. First, let me tell you, Christine, you can tell your daughter and her husband, I have a book on Amazon called You Can Keep Your Parents Home. Let me see, you can keep your parents home, keep your job and life, save your fortune and sanity. But right now, the best way to
cover
get
everything.
the best way to get in touch with me, there's a couple of ways. You can go to YouTube Age Out Loud, and one of my playlists under that is 13 videos that say, if you have a dementia symptoms, other things that it could be besides what people call dementia. You can go to Facebook. I have an Age Out Loud page. You can contact me there, or you can type in yourperfectretirementliving.com and learn about all the course that I have, which will stop you from wasting potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars and years of grief in making the wrong choice, and how to talk to salespeople, how to know what you really want. And I'd be happy to respond to any of those contacts.
Margot, I'm glad that it makes you happy to respond. Yay! We talked back and forth for weeks about this, and I never felt like you wouldn't be happy to
I am.
respond
I
to
love
people.
talking to people. So
I really appreciate having a therapist on, and the experiences, the insights that you shared. And you said that you could go on for 4 hours.
Oh.
So
that would be just warming up. So
there you go. Ravi, this is so great, because I kept seeing your comments and your kindness here and there. And I'm like, yay, I actually get to meet you. And you said, did you pronounce it Carrion, like I'm Christine with a CH? Did you say Carrion? Carrion Jacob, the one that I said he's a Christian, and he innovated a robot that responds. It's just, you can see him when you go to agingbetternetwork.com and scroll down to a purple button that says live stream video. You can see his face on the screen, on the screenshots, and you'll see his name there, and then you can listen to what he has to say and enjoy meeting each other. He sometimes is making comments as well in this, so I look forward to that. So Ravi, your turn. You get to talk and I get to stop.
So I would like to add a comment. Just wanted to make use of this time. So the dementia, the people who are suffering with the memory losses are to prevent the memory losses. What we would see, keeping their sweet memories, the happy moments in their past life around the elderly people helps a lot. Helps really a lot if they're living alone, isolated, and these memories actually bring them, regenerates the cells. It connects to the neurons back and forth. That helps for sure. Only happy moments, not the sad ones. Only the happy moments. Things. And this is like more like type 3 diabetics. The food is another thing which really helps in remembering things for a long time. So the food, reducing the sugar level, and having we Indians, we eat turmeric more.
Right.
Turmeric, we put it in all the places. Turmeric really helps in many areas. Ashwagandha is a couple of different spices. We use it. Because I use it, I can suggest these things, but I don't know if it works for most of them. But I would recommend having a good food is really helpful to the elderly people. When it comes to my thing, basically we are seriously working on this, preventing the memory loss issues. The research says 99% we can prevent, 1%, which is genetically, you might not prevent, but still you can postpone them. So that being said, we are not so far. A lot of people might be working, but I didn't come across anyone that taking towards the preventive care much in the past. But from past couple of years, I've seen it actually at conferences, meeting companies like Stack Care and all. That they're doing beautiful work. So the preventive care is very important these days now. I think we are at the time where we definitely have to find solution for these problems. Our product we will be launching in December 2023 for preventing the memory loss thing. That's what we aggressively. Our whole team is working. We have experts in the team, but currently we are selling a product which would detect the anomalies in elderly. Detecting the faults is one of the anomaly, of course. Detecting the activities like how the Stack Care is doing the same thing actually, but we use cameras. It's a privacy questions are coming. We have edge computing. If you go to a website called www.ait.care, you will see some abstract information there. What our product is, how we are doing it. Little bit. We didn't explain much on that side. But yeah, any questions? I'm happy to help on preventing care. I'm taking help from a lot of people, beautiful people I'm approaching all the time. My email ID is ceo@ait.care or joseph.kota@ait.care. So I'll be available in one of these emails. Thank you so much, Christine.
And when you go to there's a post that just comes out automatically, but the one where I tag you and I even, mention some of the people, because I listen to this again and I pull out names that you have brought out, like Margot, the person that you were talking about, make sure that I get them properly tagged. When people go to my LinkedIn profile, which ends with Christine Smith or Christine Smith, they can check my posts and they will see your comments in these posts. And all of those that you just gave verbally, if those are placed in by you, thank you very much, they'll be able to find it into the future. How exciting! Launching prevention of memory loss this December. Not a moment too soon for me. And that's no joke, because I'm already taking my turmeric. I'm already doing some of those things that someone has said, if you just cut this one thing out, what a difference it will make for your brain. I'm very grateful. How wonderful to just incorporate habits that are only going to improve your ability to live on your own terms, but also what we've been talking about, people who care about us worrying about us and going, they're doing everything. We say that about my mom, boy, she's doing everything right to continue to just be a person, to live, because aging is continuing to live. Thank you so much, Ravi. And Natalie, you're going to finish us off here.
With a bang. Right. So yes, we have a website, Stack Care. So you can go and find our product online. We have a consumer product. So if anybody's interested for their mom, not going through a professional organization, for their dad, or so, that's available. And then otherwise contact me. Obviously my email is very simple, Natalie spelled with an H after the T @stack.care. And then you can reach me. I'm always happy to talk to anybody, whether it's a home care agency, a professional, or a community, or whoever wants to have more information. I am quite, I have a wealth of stuff to offer. And I think, as you just said, I was just listening to another podcast the other day, and I forget the name of the gentleman, but he's quite well known out there in the, whole longevity thing. But he was saying it's aging in place is really not about what people seem to think, that they can just age in their house and that's it. But you need to prepare. And I thought that was a very interesting way of saying it, that you need to actually prepare your aging, your setup, that you're organized, that you have the right, architectural setup in your home. But even, a system like Stack Care is a great way to make sure that you can stay in that home for as long as possible.
Yep.
It really is entering a new country. You think I'm just here and everything's just staying fine, but it's entering a new country. There's a culture that goes with aging, both in your own mind and in those who start to look at you, and the conversations go from, hey, how's it going, to, so did you get an opportunity to take your pills on time? It becomes an interrogation. But it's also got, its own culture and its own language. You need to prepare for someone to say elder law attorney, a power of attorney. You need to already be accustomed to that new language, and you need to know what to eat and what would be best to drink, because you're in a new environment and it's your own body that is just entering this new place. And if you knew that you were going to go somewhere that you hadn't been to before and you wanted it to be a successful time, you would plan and prepare and have something packed away to prevent something from, ruining your good time. So yes, planning ahead. Oh my goodness, I agree with all of this. I'm so grateful. And thank you so much to Christine Mulholland, Helen Murphy. They have been popping in some of their links and information. Cindy Rogers, Steve Berger, and I think I might have covered everybody that I saw, but there she is, Mary Beth Flynn. So I'm just so grateful. This was fun. This was good. I'm glad that you met somebody new today and heard some new names and know about some resources that are books and our technology, and that we got to hear that something great is launching in December. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you too. Okay. Anyway.